Good one, Dana. When's the joke gonna be over? UFC 312 is an abomination. I mean, this card is just. There's two fights with ranked fighters on this card. When's the joke gonna be over, Dana? Because I still think you're joking around. Please tell me you have more in the tank. Because there's no way on God's green earth that people pay the same price for this card as they do for 311 or for UFC 300. How are those the same price? This card isn't even worth $10. You can market it as two championship fights. This this is a hardcore's dream. Uh, let's just call it what it is. No one cares about the co-main event for the most part. I'm sure there's someone out there that's gonna say, "Oh, Whaley is my favorite fighter. I'm so glad this championship fight's on a card." But I'm living in the real world. That is not a good fight. Just because it's two championship fights doesn't make the card any better. Um, this even the main event. We already saw this fight. Why are we giving Strickland a 5 round main event, a rematch, after he had one of the worst fights of the year with Paulo Costa? Why would we have not given it to Chimaev and gotten a fresh matchup? We already saw the Strickland fight. Yeah, it was a good fight. Sure, it was a good fight. But I'm tired of seeing these rematches. People want to see Charles fight Islam again. People want to see Sean fight Marab again. We already saw these things. We need fresh match. Look at the whole flyweight division. It's all rematches. If they don't want to rematch in flyweight, they got to bring a guy from a whole different organization. I'm tired of these rematches. We need fresh fights. People like to look at understat cards and say it's always the cards that people count out that end up doing the best and having the best fights. It's not just about entertaining fights. We want to see ranked fighters. That's why we watch the UFC and we don't watch the PFL. We want to see the best ranked fighters in the world compete. There's more than just entertaining fights. If we just wanted to see entertaining fights, we'd go watch street beefs. But that's not the case. We want to see high level fights. Yeah, sure. Jake Matthews is a phenomenal fighter. He's very fun to watch. Jimmy Crute, I'm pretty sure he usually gets knocked out. Same with Tafa. I mean, yeah, these fights are going to be entertaining, but again, it's not just about that. There's a time and a place for fights like these. There's a reason unranked fights are typically on fight nights. You gotta let these fighters build themselves up. You gotta let them make a highlight reel. You gotta let them build hype. And then once they're higher level, you can bring them onto the pay-per-views where it's a spectacle of MMA. Like this is literally a glorified fight night card. And no, I'm not very excited for it. No, I'm probably not going to watch the early prelims. Dana White must hate Australia. I don't get it. They must not like Australia for whatever reason because this card is disrespectful. This card should be a war crime. This is not worth $80. Not in any world. So I took it upon myself to craft up a couple fights that bring this card from a 4 out of 10 to a 6 or 7 out of 10, which still not the best, but at least it's good for what it is. So, how do we fix this card? Well, number one, Steve Urseg versus Kaya Sakura. I know Steve's already has a fight booked with Asu Amabayev, but it's literally a couple weeks after this. They could have just moved Steve up, had him fight on 312, and put him with Kaya Sakura. Kai took almost no damage in his fight against Pantoja, and you can't tell me this fight wouldn't be a banger. It's two amazing stand-up fighters, and Urseg has some of the grappling, and he can further test Kaya Sakura and get him ready for the higher level. This is a guaranteed knockout. UFC put in so much work building Kaya Sakura. They can't just let it go to waste now. We need to get him another fight, and I think Steve Ursig is a perfect dance partner. Like I said, he'll check his grappling, and he has good stand up. If he can beat Ursig, he's right back in the title picture. Maybe one or two fights away from a title fight. So, for all I'm concerned, this fight's a banger. We need to start trying to build these guys at flyweight. All we have right now is Pantoja. Even if these guys do fight for a title again, it's gonna be a rematch. Pantoja's just too good, but maybe Kaya Sakura can improve his grappling and actually someday win a championship, or Steve Ursig can improve his piss poor fight IQ since that's so low. I mean, he could have won the fight against Pantoja if he didn't shoot in the last round, but the only way to get fight IQ is experience. You're not going to get experience if you don't fight. He's coming off of a knockout loss. Pantoja's coming off a submission. These two both need a win. Someone's going to get a good bounce back from this. Probably a finish. Make it a 3-round featured fight. It'd make the card 10 times more entertaining. Next, we have Tai Tuivasa versus Dave Bluntz or Chris Barnett. I don't know where Ty's been. He's got knocked out like 10 times in a row. Chris Barnett just is coming off a knockout. One of these dudes needs to bounce back. These dudes are both great for the heavyweight division, and they're very fun fighters. Chris Barnett's like the Kung Fu Panda. He can throw spinning kicks from 20 feet away. And Tai Tuivasa, he's got that, he drinks the beer out of the shoe, and he's got that big belly jiggle, which makes him fun, I guess. At least he's got a personality, not like all these other NPC heavyweights. Spivak, fucking Volkov. All these guys are NPCs. They have a personality of a wall. At least these two guys have some flair to them. And like the last fight, this is another guaranteed knockout. Someone is going to sleep when these two fight. Either Dave Bluntz or Tai Tuivasa. If you ask me, this would be the people's main event. This is the real John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Alright, this. I'm gonna stop. Like all the other fighters are taken. Volk's gonna fight Taporia. Um, Whitaker's coming off a jaw injury. Izzy's fighting February 1st. Um, who else? Kai Car France is fighting. Who's Kai Car France fighting? Kai Car France is probably like a number one contender right now. So all these guys are lined up. So I think it'd be better off to scratch Asu Amabayev, give give Steve Ursay Kaya Sakura, and then we put on these heavyweight bangers. Make it the opening fight on the card, and then you can have Jack Jenkins be the second fight on the card. Asakura versus Ursig, third fight on the card. Co-main is going to be the co-main, and the main event, which should be a good fight. Also, if the UFC are gonna put up this crappy card, the least they can do is build it. If I'm the UFC, we saw how their last press conference went. Trikius Duplessis has some of the greatest trash talk. If I'm the UFC, I'm doing a press tour with these two, trying to build a fight, or face to face, to have them sit in a room across the table, face to face, and have them duke it out verbally before the fight. They need to build this fight up because it's gonna have to carry this card heavily. Because people on the street aren't gonna know who Zhang Weili is. People on the street aren't gonna know Justin Tafa. People on the street aren't gonna know Jimmy Crute, Jake Matthews. Wait, like this is the one fight that is going to sell the card, and you need to build it up like never before. As of now, there's been zero build up. Like I almost forget that this card's happening. It's truly despicable. The least I could do is at least offer a discount because this is awful. I want to wish this upon my worst enemy. That was just my little rant on this god awful card and just some ideas I had to make it better. So, if you're still here, thank you. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you soon.